All right, this is part 2 for the reinterpretation of, well, whatever you call it. All right, picking up where we were left off. There are people that read the Bible. It's very much part of an integral process. The people who read the Bible out of willingness, understanding, want to have a desire to know who the Lord is, will pick up the Bible. The people that have no desire, or the desire is not in their heart to pick up the Bible for whatever reasons, I'm not saying it's always bad, but I'm not saying it's always good. Those are the kind of the people in the middle ground, the murky area, that just either don't have the desire or just don't have the time or won't make the time. There are a lot of reasons, but let's just use those couple examples. But there are also people, war planners and strategists that use the Bible. We don't know those people per se, but we do know that many war strategists have read the Bible and understand what the war, when they draw the lines in warfare. Many wars were fought over the Christian Bible, the Catholic version. Well, they don't call it a Bible, they call it the Catechism, and many other things. So let's not get confused. There are a lot of divisions within a larger body. Many people would think that Catholics are the same as Christians in some respect, that you just all believe Jesus, but the truth is the Catholics have a different doctrinal difference, just like a lot of the Christian churches have some doctrinal differences. So let's not ignore the doctrinal difference, but what we're trying to understand is what the meanings behind this is. And if you take a general view, you take these words out, which that's what Kajani was doing. He was taking these words and reformatting in a biblical, when you, like, I guess when you retranslate, when I'm translating Spanish, it's definitely a different sentence structure. There's definitely use of different words and adjectives. Obviously, same thing with French language. It's not like English where you have adjectives, nouns, preposition, phrases, things like that. So let's not think in the terms of the way we see things and in the way the sentence structure in English is done. Let's look at that. So what he does is he takes the words, and I know that not everybody understands how to do this, and I'd say even maybe possibly Kajani doesn't know, but I mean, let's just say for the time being that if you take the same words and you reformat them in a way, retranslate it, it explains what this really means. And a lot of people look for those hidden messages. It's just the way we are. Some of us are skeptics by nature, and we need more proof. So this is why a lot of people, they dig a little deeper, and it was interesting because I was listening to somebody who studies prophecies and Bibles, Bible prophecy, and they said it's a rabbit hole. It just seems like it just gets deeper and deeper, and it's very true. So let's keep it simple. When they retranslate this, they are looking for a deeper meaning. We, on the other hand, we might not take the time to do that, but this is why we are going to take the time to understand what a lot of the prophecy, a lot of people that study prophecy, eschatology, understand that it's like a never-ending, it's like a lot of things are revealed. So, when I look at these, it's so hard to cover just a general topic and call it just news, because a lot of the news is now tied to prophecies that are either in the Quran or in the Bible, or in some cases, many people refer to Chinese proverbs. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole either. But there were predictions made in the case of Nostradamus to the Mayans. I mean, all of these things are not the same as the Bible prophecies, because the Bible prophecies has really, truly come true. But we don't read the Bible unless you have the gift to read this Bible, to understand and interpret it for exactly what God intended it for. It can confuse a lot of people. That's why a lot of people just kind of say, like, oh, she's into that prophecy stuff. Well, it's pretty interesting to think that a lot of the historical events have occurred, and it came right out of the Bible, too. It was literally written by someone on an island 2,000 years ago, and we can open it up today, and it's like it's happening right before our eyes. That's why they say something that's foretold meaning somebody 2,000 years ago lived among people, they lived in a civilization. They may not have had the same type of technology. They probably had their own type of technology, but for whatever reasons, they foresaw into the future. And that's what we go based on. And when these things start to happen, you ask yourself, how did somebody 2,000 years ago know this? Okay, so that takes us to the God, as we understand him, Jesus Christ. And the Lord had spoken to these prophets. They understood fully that there was something going to happen. They actually, I'm pretty sure they thought it was happening in their time period. They probably didn't know per se that it was going to happen 2,000 years later. They couldn't have known that unless it was revealed. But Jesus said, when the disciples came to him, and remember, this is early church Bible, right before Jesus died. They came to him, what will happen in the sign of your return and the end of this age? They were profoundly interested what was going to happen, because they actually in that time thought it was going to happen to them in their lifetime, not thinking it could happen in over 2,000 years later in a country in America, or or in a world where there was mass transit and cell phones. They probably had no recollection of that. They couldn't have, because they didn't live in New York City buzzing with taxi cabs and things like that. They lived in very rural conditions, so they obviously were prepared to hear what Jesus was going to say about a time period that would happen in the future. Again, the apostles weren't aware that it was, to their knowledge, it was happening in their lifetime. So, it's amazing that these prophecies are happening. And when I heard the story about John Kerry and how significant this peace accord is that is occurring in Geneva, and if you were to take all the pieces of the puzzle together, it's starting to come into play. And then I was reading some reports about Iran was sending 130,000 troops to Syria to fight off the rebels that were coming up against Assad. This is all the building blocks to what's going to happen in Israel, because we know exactly how Iran feels about Israel. So so there's definitely a dual purpose for sending 130,000 Iranian troops to Syria, because Syria sits right next to Israel. It's so strategic that it's irony is that Israel is aware of this. While this peace accord is happening, Iran is ready on the wings. They're sitting there on the Iranian border, or they're on the border of Syria and Israel. This is beginning of Psalm 83, Ezekiel 38, 39, Daniel 9, 26. I think they're all converging at once, and a lot of people are thinking these prophecies are going to happen little by little, but I think they're going to happen all at once. And I think they're going to be almost like jagging, coming up against each other, because a lot of people think, well, yeah, Psalm 83 war has to happen, but I think there's going to be, once these conflicts break out, they're going to happen so fast, and the breakdown in the world globally, the destabilization, well, it's just the destabilization of the Middle East, and it's just as Benjamin Netanyahu said before Congress on the eve of Purim, that it's a tinderbox. That's why Saudi Arabia is, saying, hey, go ahead, serve your God and bomb Iran, bomb the crap out of Iran. Because if you know anything about what's happening with Syria, and you know what's going on with Syria, the deterioration of Syria has been happening for quite some time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it at this, pick up for the third, and whatever I have to do to break this down, because I think it's best that I leave it at this point, pick it up here in a moment. Be back after this for part 3.